Now the explosive interview that will rock Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk's new state government. For the first time, the ex-wife of disgraced MP Billy Gordon breaks her silence on his secret past and the years of violent abuse he inflicted upon her. Lisa Goddard has our exclusive report and joins me now. Lisa?
Thanks, Tracy. Kristy Pekham is a shy woman and it's taken her a lot of courage to speak out. Now, everyone is asking, why didn't she go to the police sooner? Well, domestic violence victims will understand when she says she wasn't strong enough at the time of all of those beatings at the hands of Billy Gordon. Tonight, that changes in a confronting and candid interview, an interview that could change the landscape of Queensland politics.
Claims Billy Gordon subjected his former partner to the most sickening violence.
I was basically like a hostage to him and I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. It was just so much violence.
And he underestimated you, didn't he? Because you were smart enough to keep the emails, keep the text messages. You have the evidence.
Yeah, I've kept everything.
Tonight, what the police know.
You know, and everything I've spoken about here, they know about.
And why Billy Gordon's ex-de facto wife now thinks you, Queensland and Australia's political leaders need to hear her story firsthand.
He's not what they think he is. To me, he's like a monster.
The domestic violence.
You know, there were times when I was holding our son and he'd hit me and I'd be curled over him trying to protect him.
The family home where she says Billy Gordon held her hostage.
There were just so many kind of beatings during that period, it was like a blur.
Her claims of a Queensland state government cover-up. Who knew what and when, including the paper trail involving Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk.
I don't really like the whole way she's handled it. She's never personally tried to contact me.
Then there's his assurance to Parliament that he's no longer a child support cheat. And her claim...
Did he still have money owed to you when he stood there?
He did. There was still $24 that was in arrears.
But as you're about to see, we have the proof that his debt has built up again for the children he never visits. Children she's so desperate to protect, she's asked us to conceal their identity.
If we were to open up your child support account, how much would it show as outstanding?
Yeah, I think it's about $732.
Kristy Pekham is a hard-working single mum from North Queensland who is dumping a dirt file on the Queensland government. A dirt file that is about to rocket to the core.
I just felt like he'd gotten away with so much.
He told Parliament their relationship ended in 2006. She says they were still a couple on and off until 2012.
He's a liar.
Ultimately, when all is said and done, this scandal could force the Labor government, which is hanging on by just one seat, out of power.
The new government is already hanging by a thread following domestic violence allegations against Cairns MP Billy Gordon.
There have been people who have said it's political. Are you a political person? Are you doing this for political gain?
No, none of it was done for political gain, and it's just happened that he's a politician, and to try and do it the right way, I went to, you know, his boss, who happened to be the Premier.
It was more than a month ago that Kristy delivered this explosive email to Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk and others, exposing Billy Gordon's secret past of crime and violence. Kristy's been in hiding ever since, refusing to talk publicly until now.
Finally got to the point where, you know, I've had enough, and I guess that takes the fear out of speaking.
Fear is an emotion Kristy knows all too well, thanks to Billy Gordon.
I got to the point where I was scared, is he going to kill me now, or what's he going to do?
You're about to listen to her horrifying accounts of abuse, threats and intimidation by a man who won his North Queensland seat on a hypocritical campaign of family values.
You met him in 2001. The violence began, from what you say, not long after.
Yeah, that was the first time that I saw Billy actually go completely off. And he abused me physically, like he went off at me and he threw some things around the flat and he broke some stuff, and it was at that point that I just thought, who is this person and what's going on.
Kristy says the violence started when she was pregnant with their daughter. But it was after the birth of their son 4 years later that the man who was being praised as the next great Indigenous leader became, in her words, a monster.
You know, it's like having dynamite strapped to you and you can't leave or it's going to go off.
Kristy moved the children to this unit in Dubbo, while Billy concentrated on building his career working for Reconciliation Australia in Canberra. Then, when he came home to visit, she says he made her his hostage.
It was like a sick cycle of 3 months of just hell. We were locked in, the doors were deadbolted, there was security on all the windows.
So you were a prisoner?
Yeah, I couldn't unless I threw something through the window and broke the window. And then he would have caught me before I'd got out.
In the letter, she says he sent her in 2006, Billy Gordon begged for her forgiveness over what he did to her in that Dubbo unit.
And now publicly he's denying any violence.
Yeah, and that really made me angry and frustrated when I heard that. I just thought, how dare you? You know exactly what you've done, and there are other people that know exactly what he's done too.
People like her friend Heidi. Worried, Heidi drove over to the unit when she couldn't contact Kristy. How did she look that day?
She looked a mess. She was a mess mentally.
It's going to take your time. I know, it's not easy. Heidi works with domestic violence victims and says she feared something was very wrong between Kristy and Billy Gordon. She returned days later and managed to get inside. What she found left her horrified. The phone line had been physically cut and Kristy's belongings destroyed.
He'd cut all of her clothes up and smashed her jewellery. And
Did you see the cut clothes?
I've seen the cut clothes, I've seen the cut phone cord. It was like he just went through with a pair of scissors and cut them all off the coat hanger. And, you know, her gold earrings and stuff like that were smashed.
I kind of describe it in a way that people that get held hostage by terrorists, you're so scared for your life the whole time. You don't know when they're going to go too far and take your life.
Heidi says she helped Kristy escape. Billy Gordon had let her go outside to fetch him something to eat, and that's when she fled to her family in Moree.
I remember after we, said goodbye and stuff and she'd left, that I went home to my house and the police actually come out to my place and Billy had called the police to do a welfare check.
So the police were aware of allegations of domestic violence against him back then?
I'm assuming, but I can't say what, like when they contacted Kristy, what she actually told them, but...
What did you tell the police?
I told the police that she didn't want him to know where she was.
Police are now again asking Heidi questions as detectives from a special Queensland Police task force are travelling the country gathering evidence on Billy Gordon. What will you be telling the police?
What I told you. The truth, it's the truth. If it was a lie, I wouldn't be doing this, but I know it's true.
You've spent 12 hours with the police, giving a statement, being questioned.
Yeah.
Have you told them everything you've told us today?
Yep, I have. Yep. I had to go into detail, and I guess a lot of it is foggy and a lot of it's I've tried to just block out of my mind to cope. But yeah, they have all the evidence that and everything I've spoken about here.
Text messages shown to us have been given to police. They prove a very acrimonious relationship between the pair, with Kristy repeatedly asking Billy Gordon for child support money.
Where's their show money?
Go stand over some other for something you don't deserve.
Billy Gordon wrote those words in July last year while he was campaigning for the North Queensland seat of Cook, which he won, spruiking a campaign of family values.
It's sad that he still thinks he can go and make statements that he's not a deadbeat dad.
His first speech to Parliament ended up being a confession of guilt, but we now know it was to be the first of many admissions, including a criminal record.
There were claims made against me. Some true, some not.
Kristy talks about a cover-up, and here's why. When Billy Gordon took to his feet on March 27, this paper trail proves Queensland Labor bosses and the Premier's Chief of Staff were well aware of Kristy's allegations of domestic violence. But no one in Parliament addresses that. Instead, Billy Gordon declares that
any outstanding child support payments have been made.
3 days earlier, Billy Gordon had sent Kristy this text message, organising for him to pay $5,300 off his debt. She reminded him he owed more than that. As of this morning, Kristy was still waiting to collect. And interestingly, Billy's registered with the Child Support Agency as earning only $70,000 a year, when right now, Billy Gordon is earning more than $160,000.
The fact that they then tried to act like, well, the child support issue is all dealt with. I received a payment of $14.99 last week.
Kristy watched in disbelief as the then opposition leader Anastasia Palaszczuk hit the campaign trail with Billy Gordon. She's appalled now to see him still in Parliament with a Premier who, as records show, took a hard stand against domestic violence.
Does that mean that they're now being hypocritical of what they've come out and said? They're not going to back up what they're saying, you know? Now it's one of their own. Are they going to call him for what he is, or are they going to just push it under the carpet and pretend it doesn't happen?
The Premier did refer the allegations to police. On the day she called for Billy Gordon to resign from the Labor Party, Premier Palaszczuk pleaded ignorance over why no one in her party knew the truth about his past.
Yeah, good question. And I want to know too.
Anastasia Palaszczuk is actually being applauded for the way she's handling this. Her popularity has gone up.
Yeah, I've seen that also. And to me it's like, well, you've done nothing. You've done absolutely nothing to help me and to help my children.
She says the only people in politics who have given her any help are from the opposition.
For everyone out there who says this is being politicised, do you even care about politics?
I have no involvement, like I don't even vote. My religious beliefs, we don't vote. I've got no interest in any political party.
You're not out to bring down the Labor government?
All I care about is my children.
And some people will no doubt say, you're talking now because money's changed hands. We've paid you for this interview, have we?
I haven't received anything.
What Kristy wants is for people to know the Billy Gordon she knows, and for him to do what she says is the honourable thing and resign.
You know, he should stand down.
I won't be resigning from the Queensland Parliament.
That he doesn't deserve to have that type of position and power that he's got.
We did, of course, offer Billy Gordon the opportunity to respond to our investigation, but he says he'll be making no comment until the police investigation into the allegations against him is completed.